Good evening. Hi, hello. How are you? I'm doing okay. A little tired. My kid decided to wake me up early this morning, which is awesome. You don't realize how important 40 minutes of sleep is until you don't get it. But that's not your problem. That's a me problem. What I'm doing today is playing some new stuff. Because it's Indie Game Wednesday, and my cat is just going crazy. You want on camera? You want to come up? Hi. Hold on. Zoom. Whoosh. Hey, buddy. Hi. You can say hi to the camera? There we go. Oh, don't be annoyed. You wanted this. You asked for this. Yes, hello. You want to cuddle? Yeah? This is what he does when he decides I haven't given him enough attention, which is crazy because he gets a dedicated petting session every evening. Don't you? When I go to bed, instead of going to bed, I have to pet you for like 5 minutes. Don't I? Hmm? Yeah. This is Eddie. He's a lovable idiot. He's a terrible cat, aren't you? But he's a very good pet. Down you go. Alright. Back to the stream. Yeah, tonight, I've got 2 games. The first one is called The Away Team. It's an interactive sci-fi adventure novel where I'm the AI pilot and I basically give everyone instructions on what to do, and hopefully we get to the promised land, I guess. And the second is another spooky game called The Subject. Why I'm playing a spooky game, I don't know, but here we are. So, let's get started. Let's see if this is on here. Away Team. The Lost Exodus. Guess it's this one? It's on here, so here we go. Let's launch it. Oh no, installing packages. That's what I get for not. Okay. Ooh. Okay, good. The package is installed. Ooh, look at that. Defaults to full screen. Alright, well. We will start with center right, as is tradition at this point, and we will work our way out. These are characters. Ooh, there's unlockable characters. Okay. There's challenges. Okay. Fun options. I appreciate that you can, a lot of games are in, like, adding the open dyslexic font option. That's solid. I'm very, very happy to see that. I myself am not dyslexic. I don't require it, but it's not for me, you know? So, only eat when moving, always show planets. Oh, there's cheats. That's fun. So wait, are the challenges? Okay, so these are achievements. Alright. I thought they were like challenge modes, but that is not the case. Alright, so I have to unlock an easy. Okay, let's just try a medium. Okay, so I get 6 people. So proficient mechanic. So he's got mechanic, tough, observant, and a loner. Okay. Okay, then we got Aislinn. Aislinn Fife. She's comedian, lucky, genial, and gluttonous. Okay. So it seems everyone's got like three goods and a bad. A counselor, addicted. Oh, that seems bad. And various addictions, which is an asset if she can keep her wits. Scientist, observant, team worker, disabled. What's... Oh, she's hobbled. Yeah, okay. Emery. She's an athlete, genial. I don't know what that word is. Abstemious? but young, accomplished a lot. With an imminent collapse society, prospects were limited. Okay. Stubborn nature means she's going to... sure. You know what? I don't know what that other word is, so... Fallen Stabler. Or Fallon. She's got Augs, so she's a violent, strong, xenophobic soldier. I ain't have no racists on my team. Surgeon, a klepto, an empath, weak. Farmer, cautious, strong, competitive. Yeah, okay. Soldier, loner, stealthy, violent. Well, I'll take the mechanic. And I'm gonna take, no, I'm not gonna take that one. I'm gonna take this one. Alright. Okay. By the mid-2050s, Earth was all but destroyed, ravaged by war, climate change, and famine. Ooh, it's a little close to home. And it will save the planet. Scientists, aided by our AI, focused on perfecting intergalactic travel so humanity might live on. Starting in 2100, dozens of AI-run ships sailed into the void and fate of their passengers unknown. Your ship, the smallest, fastest, and finest, is the last of these to leave Earth. You are the AI in charge of the ship, responsible not only for piloting navigation, but also selecting crew for away teams based on their traits and flaws, and advising them on missions. By now, Earth is a dead planet. Your crew is very small. They're the last known humans. Your choices will determine their fate. Move to the edge of the sector and activate light jump to visit new systems. Search each sector to find new planets, moons, and stations. Stock up on food and fuel. And do your best to find your crew a new home. Good luck. Alright. So, 1 point of interest. Explore sectors for planets and systems. Okay. So, jump log, life support, cryopods, food, fuel. Okay. So that's the sector. Okay, so that's the sector. What's up with the ship? Really means nothing. It was the 27th, presumably last ship launched from Earth. Maximum optimal crew size is 8, but redundant cryopods allow for up to 10. Top speed is unknown. You don't want to think too hard about either of those. You have no idea what Eve, the creator of the ship, was thinking. Okay. The ship and the AI are kind of one and the same. There are quantum things and processors and so on and so forth, but none of that's you. Ship ahead, but it's readily comes off, so you're pretty sure it's not there. Okay, cool. Ship, astrogation, consists of one of a kind. I'm assuming that's a light speed thing. This is all garbage. Okay, cool. Crew compartment consists of everything inside the hull. It said crew accessible facilities include cryo units, food replicator, and da 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 da. Okay. Okay. And the crew, as we know them. Okay. Okay. The planet below is warm, oxygen-rich, and seismically stable. It has plenty of water beneath a relatively rocky surface. Gravity is on par with that of Earth in a stable orbit. In all respects, it looks like a good candidate for a new home for humanity, which is why it was the destination of one of the predecessor ships, and was in your system. But if all that's true, then why is the only sign of habitation a single satellite repeating the same warning message over and over? Ironically, the only way to find out is to ignore the warning and send the crew down. What, there's no elaboration on the warning? That's odd. Okay, so we need to send all 6 down, I guess. Okay, people are colored. I feel like... Hold on. Let's pull people out here. I have an engineer. That's the good engineer right there. We'll randomly fill if empty. Who was my... Soldier, stealthy, loner, violent. Loner seems like a team worker. Let's go with that. We need a medic. Who might be good with medic? I'm gonna go with the lucky one. And then let's send down our loner guy. I don't know if I have to send all people. It seems like a bad idea to send everyone. Okay, the planet below is warm, oxygen-rich, and seismically stable. It has plenty of water beneath. Okay, we read that. You debate whether or not to tell the crew. The warning is vague. Technically, it's not even a clear warning. Just zeros, repeated over and over in binary. This can mean many different things. It could mean there's something down there that's dangerous, or it could be a warning to anything dangerous to stay away. And if it's the latter, it could be a bluff. You detect no weapon systems, nor indeed anything artificial at all beyond the satellite. In the end, however, you decide to let the crew know about the message. You must remind them that raw fuel and food are not unlimited, and it may be worth a visit regardless just to stock up on whatever you can. The crew agrees that it's worth the risk, especially since the risk is so vague. The shuttle decouples from the ship, and a few minutes later, and within an hour, it's on the ground. The landing area, selected somewhat arbitrarily, as there are no distinguishing features to target, remains as unnoteworthy as it was from the air. The crew fans out a bit to look for anything that might prove more interesting. The surface is remarkably smooth, not flat, but without any obvious craters or peaks to explore. It takes the better part of an hour for Cora to find anything at all. And even then, the hole in the ground appears a little more than just that, just a hole, about 2 meters in diameter, entering a low rise at about 10% grade. Sensors seem to indicate that the tunnel is probably artificial, you tell the crew. It remains remarkably consistent for a very long way down. On the bright side, it's probably safe and it'll be an easy journey. On the other hand, that means theoretically, someone or something made that, so maybe it was only designed to look safe. Plus, walking back up will be a little harder than going down. Yeah, really. Unless you want to just head back up to the ship and risk running out of food. Okay, as I suspect, the additional readings from the crew's suit sensors confirm that the tunnel is likely artificial, at least in the sense that it was created in part by some intelligent being. The sides are smooth and even. The diameter almost perfectly consistent, and the grade steady. Something definitely bored this tunnel, though whether it was machine or man or some other animal, there's no way to know, at least not yet. The tunnel figuratively snakes downwards in a barely perceptible but steady coil, such that after a 20-minute walk, the crew is almost directly below where they enter from the surface. Perhaps not coincidentally, this is right about when the tunnel begins to branch out. The first intersection the crew comes to, they ignore. But if the second or third, they pause to take stock of the situation. Cora suggests that it might be best to just continue following the main tunnel. If there was no navigational assistance from our suits or sensors, I'd say backtracking and stick to every right fork, but since that's not an issue, the main corridor seems the safest bet, unless we see something of interest. Unfortunately, this plan only proved valid for another 10 minutes or so, at which point the corridor comes to a definitive end. 2 corridors snake off in different directions, though almost as if designed to be intentionally confusing, neither one of them could be said to be the straight-ahead option. One corridor leads to the left and slopes down, one slopes towards down towards the right. Yeah, we'll go right. The right corridor narrows a bit, almost to the point where the crew considers abandoning it completely. However, just after its narrowest point, it opens back up again and straightens out. It almost seems like something burrowing from below met up at some point with something coming down from above, and then never bothered fixing the seam completely. Even inside atmospheric suits, the air becomes more stifling down here. The filters can't quite keep out the odor, which crew finds at once displeasing and intriguing, like someone is barbecuing spoiled meat. As they descend, apparently a strange odor of cooked meat only grows stronger. The crew, not having tasted anything of the sort in quite some time, seems to pick up speed a bit, despite not being sure what they were smelling. After a few minutes of walking, a second tunnel joins for this from above. Fortunately, it's distinct enough that the navigating back up won't be too much of an issue. If nothing else, the crew should be able to find their way out just by moving away from the odor, which is becoming overpowering. I'd really expect to see some sort of insect life by now, says Cora. This smell, it's just overpowering. Like there's a giant pile of rotting meat somewhere just around the corner, or all around us, or like we're inside some giant creature's intestinal tract or something. The likelihood of the latter being true is small. The tunnel's not only smooth, but bone dry. If the crew were inside something living, by any definition of life you are aware of, there would have to at least be some sign of moisture present. These corridors do not resemble intestines, other than that they are relatively twisty. Okay. According to your maps of the terrain, the sensor readings from the crew, they're just over a kilometer below the surface. Although you'd suspect they felt it was much, much further due to the way the tunnels loop over and over again horizontally, they probably traveled at least 4 or 5 kilometers. Yet they don't seem as tired as you'd expect. They seem to almost gained in strength and vigor. And then, suddenly, the corridor comes to a distinct end, opening up into an immense chamber. The ceiling is only about twice the human height, but the sides of the room are so far out as to be imperceptible, even considering the quality of the crew's helmet lamps. It could easily stretch for 10 kilometers or further. There's no way to be sure and no way you'd ask the crew to verify. Besides, they have other things to look at. In stark contrast to the barren, dry tunnels they've been walking, this chamber is filled with moisture. Water, at least you hope it's water, drips from the ceiling into puddles on the floor, and the walls nearby are riddled with rivulets of moisture that briefly turn to a minor cascade as the crew passes by. This is not what draws the crew's attention. Rather, is the bulbous masses filling the center of the chamber, seemingly everywhere but for a meter-wide area around the perimeter of the cavern. There is no word from them but what they clearly are. Eggs. Sickly off-white in color, each approximately twice as large as human head, and too opaque to see through. The crew begins to make gagging sounds. Ugh, the smell. With a disturbing retching noise, Cora Emmer becomes quite ill. Fortunately, they remember to use the funnel built into their helmet just for such an occasion. That bad, is it? You ask. No, it's wonderful. It's so amazing it hurts. I can't describe it. It's like I'm drowning in chocolate. You are at once glad and disturbed that there's no way for you to perceive what the crew is smelling. You have larger concerns, however, like the fact that these eggs, for whatever reason, aren't showing up as life forms on the scanners, which is very curious, to put it mildly. Okay. I don't care what's inside those egg things. Eggs means protein. Protein means food. We need food. It's all going into the sledge factory on the ship anyways, right? What do we care what the source is? I'm not really sold on the idea of harvesting whatever this is. We have no idea what it is, and if it's alive, if it's harmed. And I know we need food, but we have to follow our gut instincts, not just our guts. And my instinct says this stuff, whatever it is bad news. Maybe we could just harvest some of the eggs. Eggs are foods, let's harvest them and get back to the shell. Just be careful. Okay. If we want to be efficient about it, then we can probably save some weight by smashing these things open and just keeping what's inside. It might be more awkward to carry, but these shells look heavy and inedible. Gro follows through with this plan and begins kicking the eggs to smash them open. It takes a bit of work, but once they tear to the surface, the leathery skin of the eggshell peels open quite easily, each revealing an interior of thick, slimy mucus. Okay. And what looks like black worms, clustered around a fist-sized mass at the bottom. It's disgusting, and a mess, but before long the crew have piled a heap of the egg stuff into a half shell and seemingly ready to leave. As the crew moves to pick up the long, snaky corridor, you happen to notice that the satellite's message suddenly changes. Where it had previously been broadcasting zeros over and over again, it is now broadcasting something different. You stop paying close attention to the number at that point. It keeps getting bigger. You may be in danger, you say. Also, maybe not. But let's assume you're in danger for safety's sake. So is there a problem? I'm going to say move stealthily. You have no particular reason to suspect anything is amiss, but something is definitely going on here, and your sensors don't seem adequate enough to help determine exactly what is transpiring. The satellite continues to increment higher, and you think it's a safe bet that what it's counting is related to the eggs, the ones not showing up on normal scanners properly. It's a bit hard for the crew to pull off stealth while dressed in atmospheric suits and wandering through long tunnels with nowhere to hide, but they do their best. As everyone orders all external helmet lights turned off. This leaves the crew with nothing but dim internal lights and their HUD displays to navigate with, which means an hours-long climb in near pitch blackness, but there's nothing to be done but to keep moving. Despite the long, tense march, the crew eventually emerges onto the surface. They take a brief moment to decompress, then finish the journey, scrambling for the shuttle and quickly returning to the ship. Once they're safely back on the ship, you leave the crew to decompress and de-stress while you look over the data gathered by the sensor readings. The satellite's odd behavior remains unchanged and appears to be no threat, so you completely ignore that. If it was intended to signal something, it would have taken years for the message to be received. There's nothing sentient in this system except you and your crew. You do a deeper chemical analysis of the contents of the egg. The shell itself is unremarkable, tough proteins, similar to what you'd find in a lizard egg, or some sort of insect, as opposed to a harder-shelled bird egg. What's inside, though, is much more interesting. You ask, Aislinn, for their opinion, and they pore over the data for a while, but come to no conclusions. You decide not to share all your findings with the crew, however, in part because you're not sure what the findings suggest, but also because your fear might scare the crew unreasonably and unnecessarily. Did one of the ships make it here? Did it crash? Was the crew consumed by whatever was on the planet? Or was there something more at work? It's moot, at any rate. Eggs, cryo fluid, whatever the case, the results are clear on one thing. Whatever was inside these egg sacs has been dead for a very long time. Preserved, but long dead. Regardless, it's good enough to use for the food replicator. You keep the specifics to yourself and have the drone shovel the material into the hopper. After a few minutes, it will all just be raw materials anyhow, indistinguishable from whatever else was in there. You idly wonder if whatever process happened inside those eggs didn't work much the same way, making one thing indistinguishable from another. You gladly leave the planet behind, its lone satellite still screaming into space. You wonder how high it will count before it stops. So we got 20 food. And all the crew. Okay. Okay, so there's only the one point of interest. So we'll just move on. Which I think... Wait, why is crew blinking? I don't understand. What is this? Okay, so she got to rank up. Okay. So everyone who went on a mission, I guess, got to rank. Okay. Oops. Okay, how do I... I don't know how to leave the sector yet. It says go to the edge of the map. Okay, well. Okay. They're never still interested. Okay. Proceed. Okay. I have some sort of mission now. Although your mission isn't a scientific one, there are a number of stellar and interstellar phenomena you have been programmed to observe and study should the opportunity arise. Possible benefits range from expanding the boundaries of human knowledge to discoveries that may lead to the improvement of the ship's systems. There's also value in giving the crew something to focus on for a while. Long-range sensors didn't pick it up. The first indication you had was when it came into view in the ship's external cameras. You call the crew into the shuttle to discuss. In this instance, is an oddly shaped object tumbling through space. The object's nature is difficult to identify. Its trajectory indicates that its origins lie well beyond the local solar system and is likely transgalactic. The object is moving at significant speeds. Catching up will require a degree of fuel expenditure. The prospects of taking time out to research something new seem to excite the crew. Osmond stares intently at the readings. I've never seen anything like this. So long as we study it safely, says Osmond, it's probably a good idea. Look at that, says Cora, pointing out the details to the rest of the crew. Clearly, they are eager for further study. Alright, let's do it. We'll burn some fuel, but people will be happy. More detailed study could be conducted by maneuvering the ships alongside the object, close enough for external drones to drill core samples. The fuel expended so far isn't enough to catch up to the object, but you could reach it by burning the engines above maximum capacity for a short period, risking possible damage to the engines. Screw, it's our first game, let's do it. Eventually, the drones have collected enough material from beneath the object's surface for reasonable study. Alright. The data collected is revealing an analysis of the object's unusual interactions with the local gravity provides some possible means of improving ship's engine output by a moderate amount. So we lost 4 fuel, but ship speed has increased. Hooray! So, I can't zoom in or out. Do I have to, like, find a... I'll say, engine damage was sustained. Okay. Oh, there's a late jump button. Whoops. It's right there. Well, we're learning. Okay. So there's one point of interest somewhere around here. Okay. Oh, we found another space mission. Okay. Possible benefits, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Long-range sensors picked it up a day ago, but it took Cora's curiosity to notice that there was something worth investigating. He called the crew to the shuttle to discuss. Okay. Neutron stars being formed by the gravitational collapse of the cores of massive stars following supernova explosions have been observed from great distances since the mid-1900s. But intense gravity and radiation have made opportunities for close study rare. The ship is capable of withstanding more of both than most probes humans sent out. Gravitational forces will require a degree of fuel expenditure, though. The prospects of taking time out to research is good. Omen likes to... yeah, sure. Yeah, screw it. We're running low on fuel. Surely nothing bad will happen. I mean, we are in space. Arguably, if we just goosed the engines and then just coasted. I know that's not how, like, any space game works in a game, but whatever. Yeah, study. Okay. Yeah, we can eat. We got fuel or food. Eventually you exhaust the meaning goal. Okay. Analyze. Revealing but not practically usable. So we lost a bit of fuel, lost a bit of food, but everyone seemed happy to do it. Okay. But that wasn't the point of interest, because that's like... ooh, here we go. A G-type planet. There's no atmosphere. Or can't figure it out. Or, okay. It's cold. Minus 15 Celsius. Alright. Since they're not getting a good reading on this planet, so it's unwise to send the crew down. You instruct the crew to remain on the ship and detach the shuttle for a quick excursion to scoop up some raw materials. Yeah. There are two spots where it seems like you might have a good chance at harvesting food. You only have time for one of them, however, and it's in either case it's going to be very quick. Let's go with the swamp. Admirable job. Okay, with the airlock open. Cool. Picked up 8 food. Hooray! So that was the point of interest. So we can just go now. Okay. Oh wait, what was that? 2 points of interest in this one. Alright. Oh, we have to go slow through asteroid belts. Alright. It's good to know. We need fuel badly, though. Like, this is going to be a problem very quickly. Habitability is 24%. Not a lot of air. It's hot on the planet. Okay. The atmosphere on this planet is completely unsuitable for human life, or indeed any form of life you can think of. In fact, it might very well be comparable with what Earth's atmosphere likely looks like at this point. Choked with toxic gases. Beneath the dense dark cloud cover, however, there is definitely a solid surface and a very good chance of finding some sort of fuel for the ship. Okay. We didn't send you last time. Let's send you as crew. Cora was a good leader. I'd use the medic. We're gonna send you as the engineer this time. Okay. Alright. So, all the sense readings are a bit strange, admittedly. Everything indicates that there's no possible way anything is alive down there, and yet, some of the results are in line with what you'd expect to see if life forms were present. There were Earth creatures who lived in some pretty inhospitable environments, you know, worms, bacteria, the like, thrived at the bottom of the ocean, around geothermal vents, for example. If there is anything down there, it probably looks something like that. So long as the crew keeps their suits on, they should be just fine. Shortly, the biggest challenge, however, will be finding a place to set the shuttle down safely. Once inside the atmosphere, it becomes clear that the planet is very geothermically active, and much of the terrain is covered in molten rock that's hot enough to melt important pieces of the shuttle within a few minutes of setting down. You instruct the crew to try one of the poles, as they do appear a bit cooler and more stable, and they adjust accordingly. We're going to go to the South Pole. Rapidly descending into what appears to be a dormant volcanic caldera, quickly locates a good landing site and sets the shuttle down. The ground does not immediately split up and swallow the shuttle in a violent eruption of liquid hot magma, so the crew breathes a bit easier for now. Initial sensor readings are inconclusive. There's either life signs all over the place or no life at all. What is more conclusive is that there are lots of black rocks flecked with gold everywhere. They don't appear to be obsidian or anything else associated with volcanic process, but are more along the lines of sticky tar balls or something of that nature. It'll be impossible to tell for sure until the crew get out there and pick one up. And on that note, perhaps we should explore the surface and see what we might find up there, suggests Cora. It'd be much safer than heading down into the unknown, although based on the scarcity of resources up here, it certainly seems likely going deeper results in more stuff. Explore the stuff. The crew seems most likely to find more items of interest below ground, so you direct them below, ordering headlamps turned on to full brightness. There are several cave openings to choose from, and based on sensor readings, the crew quickly selects one that is fairly wide and definitely seismically sound. Cora notices one of the tunnels in the cave seems a bit more smooth-edged than the one would expect to find from a natural cavern, almost as if it had been carved by human hands, or some other intelligent being, of course. Only the human ego would presume that only a human might be responsible for something. Regardless, the hunch seems to pay off. The secondary tunnel, indeed, seems too straight and smooth to be natural, and it proves to be a faster way down than the winding back and forth that a natural cave system would have required from the crew. Before long, the crew is at decent depth and begin evaluating their surroundings. The crew looks around for a while, but finds nothing of interest that they haven't already taken note of and or sampled. Okay. They're just about to turn back when when there's a strange sound nearby. A cross between a rumble and a squelch, as if someone had dropped a wet 1,000-kilogram sponge off a tall building. When they turn to look, they see a giant humanoid form has erupted from the ground. Formed from tar-like sludge, it has no visible face, but head and arms can clearly be made out. Whether it's mocking or mimicking the human form, or this is its natural shape, is unclear. What quickly becomes evident, however, is that it is intelligent, because it begins to communicate with the crew. "Are you hearing this?" asks Cora. I think it's using some sort of telepathy. They continue. "I can hear it in my head. I know it's ridiculous, but still." Tell me what it's saying. "It's angry that we're here, and it wants to know what we think we're doing." See, we're looking for fuel. Cora relays a response and then listens intently for a few moments. You almost wonder if they're hallucinating. Telepathy isn't something you thought possible, of course. If it's a hallucination, they're still managing to communicate, then maybe it doesn't matter if it's a mental communication or not. A lot can be conveyed through chemicals, subsonic transmissions, etc. There are plenty of ways to reach a brain short of the paranormal. It says it will let us have all the fuel we need, but only if we agree to do something for it. What does it want? They go on to explain and translate for several minutes, explaining that the creature wants another creature defeated. Apparently, the entire planet is somehow under the control of just 2 sentient beings, and despite how large it is, the planet's just not big enough for the both of them. Alright. It takes a second to realize that they weren't addressing you, they were talking to the creature. Before you can ask the crew to reply, the creature appears to dissolve into the ground once again. Apparently, it assumes the crew will comply. So I may have implied consent. So what do we do? Under normal circumstances, you imagine a decision like this wouldn't even be a consideration, but the crew hasn't really been under normal circumstances since the day you all left Earth. No, let's fight. Let's fight. Let's do it. Okay, leaving the planet without exhausting every option for survival would be short-sighted. The crew needs to do something like this to ensure their own survival, then maybe it's fine. Morality isn't something you consider a factor, especially not when it comes to the alien beings of questionable sentience. Better they kill an alien creature and get some fuel than run out of fuel in interstellar space. It's true. Houston? Sorry, the crew returns to the shuttle, but before they get a chance to board, 2 creatures made of sludge and tar rise up in front of them, blocking their path. Okay. The one left seems upset that we agreed to fight it, and the one on the right is saying it's upset that we're not fighting the other one yet. They're bickering like children, except in our heads, not using words. It goes on to explain that the one on the left seems to be demanding that the crew prepare for a mental battle, the likes of which they have never before imagined. course suggests that the crew might try to get them to fight each other instead, then sneak away in the confusion. I don't think a mental battle is a good idea. We could try rushing it, because it might not expect that, but it is made of tar, and I don't expect that to go well. Let's see if we can get them to fight each other. You tell the crew not to play this game anymore. If the creatures have a problem with each other, let them fight it out. The crew may die, but they will not die as the playthings of sadistic alien Tarball. Both creatures seem taken aback at this. They dissolve into puddles. Moments later, the two puddles coalesce, and a single creature appears twice as tall. They're the same creature. Indeed, it makes sense. You run some more scans, more focused now that you know what you're looking for, and the results confirm your suspicions. The entire planet is covered in the same black goop, almost equally throughout various depths. There are not two or more creatures on this planet. There's only one. The planet is the creature. One symbiotic whole. You're not sure what the game was exactly, but you're sure it's over. You order the crew to board the shuttle, and as they do so, the creature deposits some of its material outside the door. Alright. No sense leaving stuff behind. The crew is relieved when the shuttle finally reconnects to the ship, and they don't bother to eat or clean up before collapsing into their bunks to decompress. Okay, cool. We got 10 fuel and nobody died. That's a win to me. Okay. Okay. Yeah, go. Let's see. Coronal mass ejection events are associated with flares. Okay. You plan a course into a synchronous orbit that keeps most of the active sunspots visible without putting the ship directly in the path of the predicted CMEs and flares. More detailed study is possible, but it will require modification of some of the ship sensors, which will reduce their general efficiency for... Yeah, do it. Analyze. Okay, we've boosted our speed some more. Alright. Yeah, so our scanny circle's a little smaller now. There it is. Okay. If this location wasn't programmed to the ship's maps, it would not have been worth slowing down for. Sensors detect no signs of life, no obvious fuel sources, and not even obvious carbon-based material. Okay. It's a dead world. The precise target, however, seems to be the large moon in orbit. No more alive, but slightly more interesting. Alright. We gotta get this guy some stuff, so you can become crew. I'll send you out and... Yeah, alright. The crew clambers up into the top of the ship and prepares to shuttle down. I'm just gonna skip through here. As you adjust speed and angle to keep the ship in stable orbit, the shuttle closes in on the surface of the moon. As cameras and sensors come online, it becomes clear that this was definitely the right place. Or at least an interesting one. Giant lines, many kilometers long, are carved into the lunar surface, like the Nazca lines on Earth, but actually visible from space. The crew can make at least 3 sets of straight cross lines with large arc below them. Clearly, the lines are not natural. But what did they indicate? Why is this little moon, of all places, the first destination on the ship's maps? There's no logic behind it as far as you can tell. Perhaps the crew can figure it out. Asen squints a little, then breaks out into laughter. Is it space madness? It seems not. They wipe a tear away and point. 2 eyes, nose, and mouth. It's a big smiley face. It's something of a stretch, perhaps, but they are right. There's a smiley face to be seen there, whether it was intentional or this is just pareidolia. I don't know what that is. To be seen, but for a brief time, spirits are raised. They scratch their head a bit and start sketching something in midair with their finger. I bet it's a map of some sort, they say. A face map. The X's that make up the eyes are angled, but the nose is straight up and down, like a plus sign. If you draw lines from each axis up to where they intersect, They all point towards a fourth spot, unmarked, right about there. No, yeah, let's just check out the unmarked spot. A plateau rises up before the shuttle. Even from a distance, it's clear that the crew that there is something about the area that's unnatural, not in a scary, spooky way, but in the sense that nature clearly did not make everything here. The sides of the plateau are a bit too steep and regular. Some hand had a part in the shaping of this terrain. The question is, was he human? Oh, good evening, Pokemon Freak. There's no obvious structures atop the plateau, but readings indicate that there are several hollow spaces rather than near the surface. It's likely there are more than meets the eye. There are a few decent landing spots, the dead center or off to the north. The center looks more convenient, but the northern edge looks a bit safer. Let's go with safer. The shuttle lands near the northern face of the plateau. Was that the Transformers theme? That was my very lame attempt at the Transformers theme, yes. Or more like the Transformers Stinger. It's probably more accurate. Careful, DCMA will get you. I think that's fair use for what I did. The shuttle lands on the northern face of the plateau, setting gently to the ground. There's no sign of the pervasive dust found everywhere else on the moon. The surface is clean and smooth, although not quite what one would call polished. The crew leaves the shuttle to look around, but finds no obvious way underground. Perhaps there might be a path elsewhere. Upon exiting the shuttle, Eric can't help but notice what looks like something metallic beneath the shuttle. It's extremely irritating to have to do it, but the shuttle is boarded and flown exactly 3 meters away, then powered down again. Sure enough, there's a metal hatch in the ground, right where the shuttle had landed. Open that hatch. The hatch opens to reveal a rather deep shaft, about 1 meter wide, with handholds carved into the stone on all sides. The crew head down, taking careful to avoid a falling incident. Fortunately, the etchings in the stone are deep and practically unused and are easy to grip. The bottom is quickly reached. The crew turns up the brightness on their headlamps, revealing a relatively small chamber with stone carvings etched all along the sides. In the center is a statue. It is clearly that of a man. This chamber, and everything within, definitely came from humans. Alright. I want to do both. Let's look at the carvings. The carvings depict what were clearly constellations of some sort. Points of light of various sizes, some of them connected by lines, are definitely meant to indicate arrangements of stars. Though the constellations are nothing anyone is familiar with, and there's not enough information given to surmise that these stars, if viewed from Earth, might have been. Weird, says Eric. Notice how each one of the stars, I think it's obvious that these are stars, is connected to at least 3 others. So each dot has 3 lines coming off it. Great, says I can't say that name. Aislinn? But what does that tell us? There are no answers. Okay, cool. I'll look at the statue. Statue depicts a curly-haired man, albeit an idealized version of one, some 4 meters tall, heavily muscled, and quite traditionally handsome by 21st century Western European standards. Around his wrists are what appear to be metal cuffs, each bearing what appear to be broken chain link. Pulled around his feet are long lengths of the same type of chain, and under his right foot is some sort of large crushed bird. Bizarrely, the statue's face is missing a mouth. Perhaps the carvers didn't have time to finish, or couldn't be bothered. Beneath the statue is written, I see a shade, a shape, 'tis he, arrayed, in the soft light which spread like radiance from the cloud-surrounded moon. Okay, it's a poem. I'm gonna tell him. It's Prometheus, specifically Prometheus Unbound. The poem by Percy, by Shelley. I was just about to say that, says Cora. Cool. But what does that tell us? Alright. Once the shuttle is recoupled, I want details. I want details on this. The large carving is an abstract depiction of a human face. The arc is clearly a smile. The statue bears a quote from the quote, like the statue's face, is incomplete. The actual quote from Percy's book is, I see a shade, a shape, 'tis he arranged. In the soft light of his own smiles, which spread, like radiance from the cloud-strewn moon. The missing words from the poem are from Act 2, da-da-da-da-da. A shade, a shape, like radiance from a cloud-surrounded moon. This is where the carvings came in. Each star is a point with 3 lines. Cartesian coordinates X, Y, and Z. X2, Y1, Z, but da da da. These are 4 directions. A shape radiating out from the center, this moon. Okay. Pause for effect. I love that. Okay. The phrase "of his own smiles" indicates we must look for a smile, and since neither the statue nor the quote contain one, we must look elsewhere, and therefore the smile carving provides us the final number we need. The smile is also an arc, and which can be measured in arc seconds? Is that a thing? Another measure which relates to the arc is parsec, which you may or may not know, depending on your particular realm of knowledge, is how far a distant object needs to be to have a parallax of 1 arc second. Uh-huh. Degrees are split into minutes and seconds. Oh. Huh. Fair enough. We are meant to translate the length of the arc into arc seconds to a number of parsecs, which, along with the x, y, z coordinates, gives us not only a direction, but distance in light years. There are some extra details involving time and other such trivia, but the crew is definitely getting bored, so keep these to yourself so that you can get ready for cryo. They don't really care what you're going, or where you're going, as they've all lost a sense of where they were coming from. The ship passed Barnard Star within the first 1% of the total distance you've already come. I've already set a course. I'll spare you the details, but it's heading towards what you maybe recognize as Andromeda. We will make the jump shortly. Fortunately, it will not take us nearly as long to reach as the predecessor ships took. A human was meant to recognize the human touch in the message. An AI was meant to analyze the data based on those observations. The message was sent only for us, this ship or another like it, human and AI together. Whoever left this encoded message believed that only together could we solve the problem. What you leave unsaid is that this was probably true for an AI as it was known to humans aboard the predecessor ships. You, of course, are far more capable of interpreting and evaluating things like emotion and creativity. But there's no need to point that out to the humans since they would only make them feel sad and uncomfortable. Case in point, see how well you predicted the emotional response? You'd pat yourself on the back if you had one. Okay. So, can we leave now? I assume... Okay, yeah. So we're now jumping to some new place. There's one point of interest in this place. You just gotta find it. Engines were damaged, that's fine. The crew. What's your rank 3? Okay, cool. So we got some people who are getting better at leadership and medic stuff. Level 2 engineer, excellent. Alright, so Pokemon Free, I don't know how much you've seen so far, but effectively we are an AI on a ship. These are arguably the last humans. Other ships were sent out from Earth, but we don't know where they are. So, yeah. Yeah, the good future. Well, everything went to shit in 2050, so like... So, yeah, we're just kind of skipping around, and it's all text-based. Ooh, here we go. Felice 69. Nice. Okay, sensors are not getting good reading of the planet, so it's unwise to send the crew down. Alright. Where am I going to get food? From the sea. 11 food. Excellent. Wait, was that it? Okay. Alright, well, let's just go, I guess. What's this sector about? Another singular point of interest. There it is. Water, water everywhere. Drinkable? Probably not. The surface of the planet below appears to be more than 90% covered in water. It's likely too saline for safe drinking without processing, but it's also just one of many signs that that there's life here of some sort. A radio signal from somewhere below the waves, alas indecipherable, seems to indicate that something intelligent was here at one point. Alright, deploy that crew. Cora is our leader that we're dumping everyone into. Let's pop you into crew. Actually, no. Let's pop you into medic. Rank you up. He's just our good murder boy. Pop you in there. Where are you? Yeah, okay. Mission details. Okay, yeah. Alright, let's roll. The shuttle descends rapidly to a fairly low altitude, but then spends several hours searching for a suitable place to land. There are ample reefs and atolls here and there, but nothing that would serve as anything more than a landing pad. Larger islands with features worthy of note seem to evade the crew until, at last, the sensors pick up a reasonably large archipelago about halfway between a pole and the equator. As the shuttle settles on a relatively soft patch of sand, you remind the crew that although the atmosphere here seems hospitable, it is bright, sunny, and serviceably warm, and the air is breathable, they should remain safely inside their atmospheric suits for the time being, especially with all this water around. Getting some real Stolen Century vibes. You know what? You're not wrong. We're just kind of hopping around to different systems, trying to survive. So yeah, replace systems with realities and you've got Stolen Centuries. The crew begins poking around to the shore. Even though the island is long enough to be worth exploring further, it's narrow enough to still be mostly shoreline with very little inland. So this is a logical place to start. While they concern themselves with the sand, you do some geological surveys and get a fix on the tectonic shift and other such matters. The planet certainly has some interesting features, among them being a remarkably shallow ocean with only a few large tectonic plates. Most of the islands are in one single ring that runs more or less continuously around the planet. None of this is anything the crew care about. Lots of sand, empty shells, not good for much except maybe making jewelry. Of course, if there are shells, then there are living things around, right? Okay. Shells definitely would indicate life of some sort, which is nothing else. Would mean a food source, considering that the trained logical place to search would be in the water. Why don't you get your feet wet, you ask? Proceed cautiously, of course, but I think it's worth looking around a bit further offshore. Aside from a few near stumbles and falls, the next hour or so is uneventful. The crew continues to explore along the shoreline, moving cautiously. There's something odd about the shells, says Cora. They focus on a few areas in particular, and you zoom in on the camera feed and take a look. They're not distributed randomly like you would expect. They're a few different colors and sizes, and they all seem clustered. If the crew walk back and forth a few times to gather some more data, and you agree that the shells do not appear to be distributed randomly. This is rather odd, seeing that the majority of them are underwater or right on the shore. The wave action should be moving them around. Into the shallows. You direct the crew to wade out further. We already did that. No, I mean deeper. Up over your heads. The crew seems a bit concerned at this prospect, but you do your best to assure them that they will be able to breathe well enough underwater for an extended period of time. They're self-contained atmospheric suits, you remind them. You can survive in space for quite a long time, and that's a vacuum. You'll be fine underwater for a while, at least. Just don't go jumping off any cliffs into a bottomless abyss, and nothing will go wrong. The water remains relatively shallow for quite some distance away from the island itself, allowing the crew to descend at a slow pace and get accustomed to the idea of being underwater. The slower pace also helps the water a bit more clear. Every step kicks up clouds of debris and makes it harder and harder to see, even with the helmet lights on, but there's nothing to be done, so that you don't even mention it. Once the crew is about 10 meters or so down, you have them stand still for 15 minutes or so to try and get the water to clear somewhat. They fidget and fuss, but manage it. And once some of the sediment settles, you instruct them to pan their heads around without moving their feet. They mostly manage to do as asked. Hey, check that out. They move their heads slowly, ever so slowly, and the light from the helmet lamps catches the sight of something off in the distance, moving. It appears to be a tiny mollusk of some sort, moving along with the current, but also clearly very much alive. Now that the water is much clearer, the crew can see that can even see their feet, and looking down at the surface, they can tell that it's not covered. It is covered not just by sand and empty shells, but by living creatures scurrying over one another and, you imagine, also probably feasting on one another. The vast majority of the shells are clearly empty, though, and the entire landscape seems to be that of one immense pile of detritus, though evidently stacked firmly enough to support the weight of the crew. Harvest creatures, go deeper. Is this deeply concerning? Deeply it is. The deeper we go. I like how you keep saying we. Don't make me come down there, you say, because I can't come down there. The deeper you go, I think that's more likely it is we're going to find something of use to us. Obviously, the deeper you go, the more danger, too. It's a calculated risk. Keep going. It's too early to pull the crew out. Okay, I'm just going to skim through this. There's so much text. This game is effectively a large novella. It probably has repeated content eventually. Okay, so it's got a steep drop-off. Yeah, I'm not going to investigate the edge of that cliff. That seems like a bridge too far. Miko Lane. Hello. Good evening. Welcome. We are playing the away team tonight, which I got through the itch.io Racial Justice and Equality bundle. Hairco is so much brighter today. That would be because a couple weeks ago I upgraded the bulb above my head. It gives off significantly more light. So it's not so much that my hair is actually brighter, this is just what my hair color is when properly lit. My hair is extremely orange. What is this game? Okay, so the premise of this game is Earth went to shit, and so we sent off a bunch of interstellar ships to go find new homes for humanity, effectively. We are the 27th and arguably last ship to leave the planet. That's kind of the gimmick. We, the players, are the ship's AI. And we more or less just tell everyone what to do. We assign people jobs, and then, like when we go on away missions, so I say who gets to be leader, medic, etc., etc. As people do that, they level up and become better at those jobs. And we basically just investigate stuff, hopefully find food and or fuel, and the whole point is we're trying to find a place to live. Yeah, they mostly complain about listening to a cold calculating computer. Yeah, pretty much. At least this computer's got a sense of humor. So, the kind of technical thing with this game is that it is effectively a novel. It is a choose-your-own-adventure game, as near as I can tell. And impressively, no one's died yet, and I've been playing for about an hour. So, right now, we're on a planet that's effectively just an ocean. There's land on it, but it is mostly ocean. And as for my hair color, yes, this is my just natural, God-given, if that's the thing, hair color. It's all just words. There is also a small map navigation aspect that once we finish this mission, you will see. Where I steer the ship around a little map to try and find stuff. Yeah, I need some water. Yeah, there's a lot of talking. That's why I'm starting to just skim a little bit, because this is an extremely verbose game. We're just going to harvest some specimens and take off. 30 fuel. Okay, that's not nothing. Alright. So, here we are. The overhead map. So, this map has like one point of interest. So we can now just move on to the next sector. There's nothing else really of value on this map except occasionally like some other random space event. What games have you missed in the meantime? So the last time you graced my channel was for the end of the Blackwell series, if I'm correct. Right? Blackwell, yeah. Alright. So since then, I've been playing a game called Witch Thief, which is kind of like a bullet hell thing where you are a witch and you fight other weird stuffed doll things. It's pretty good. It's better than I expected. Sam & Max Hit the Road was the last adventure game we finished. And yesterday I started a new one called Paradise Killer, which is very interesting. What else? I continue with my co-host on Mondays for a Satisfactory run. On the weekend, I played a scary game called In Silence, which I think I'll be playing again on Friday, because it's Halloween. It's the spooking season, so may as well. Which was a lot of fun, despite all the jump scares. And a couple other indie games. Windowsill, which was just a little puzzle game. What was the other one called? Smooth something. The erosion one. Free Layers of Fear on Epic. Yeah, I don't know if I want to grab it. I don't really play scary games. Spring Falls. Spring Falls I played, which is very, very good. And also Jam and the Mystery of the Mysteriously Spooky Mansion, which was actually also extremely good. Extremely good. Yeah, I know it's free, but what are the odds I'm ever going to play it? I don't like playing scary games because I am 100% that person who should not be playing scary games. But I'm exactly the kind of person that everyone who makes scary games wants to see play their game. So you bought a baby game for Nintendo Switch. What do you mean? What baby game? As in, you're taking care of a virtual baby on your Switch? I don't know why anyone would choose to do that, but... Oh, like a Tamagotchi, maybe? It's literally taking care of a baby. Oh, here we go. So, here's one of those things. Inspect the asteroid. Sure, examine it. Study it. Analyze. So, we got... nothing good, and we're almost out of fuel, so this isn't great. My baby for... Why? Oh god. Why would you do this? Why would you do this? Okay, so our engines are just getting the hell beaten out of them, which is not great. You should be able to link. And yeah, anyways, we're probably going to retire this game soon. I was going to be honest, I was expecting to die very quickly playing this game. But so far it has not yet gotten violent. So I just kind of want to play this until I run out of fuel, because I've only got 2 fuel. Ooh, targeting systems. Okay. Neat. Alright. Let's pop down the leader. We're gonna need a good leader for this. Let's basically just send out my A-team for stuff. And let's send out my murder man. You know what? Let's send everyone. I have a feeling this is gonna be a good or a bad experience, so let's just do it. Okay, atmosphere is unsuitable for life, so we're gonna go full atmospheric suits. Da-da-da-da-da. They chuckle as the shell descends. Oh, because I made a joke. Cool. Okay. John Murderman. Yeah, pretty much. He's a stealthy soldier who is a loner and also violent. So yeah. Hiding the shuttle won't accomplish anything, however, and you give the order for the crew to pull up their pants and go looking for food or whatever. Looks like everyone just got up one day and left. Yeah. So the crew pokes around, continue to find nothing much obvious. Take a moment to survey more of the planet. Okay. I'm going to accelerate out of the geosynchronous orbit and see what the other side of the planet. Sure. Don't find much. Empty towers, da-da-da-da-da. You swing back around where you left the crew and reestablish synchronous orbit overhead. Hi, I'm back. There's no immediate reply. You force an open audio and visual connection to the crew, the hard way. Something is causing interference, though, and the global channel is not functional. Cool. There you are. She replies immediately. I figured it'd take about that long for an orbit. Was it Earth all along? Oh god, we've gone in a giant circle. Is everything okay down there? There's some strange readings from the sensors and... Oh, I'm fine, she says. Her helmet camera, which had been skewed at an odd angle, corrects itself as she sits, and then stands with a better effort. Her disability is making it hard for her to get up from a prone position. Oh yeah, my leader has some kind of a leg injury. I was just taking a break. The hallucinations were a bit... Sorry, what? Can we go back? What? Yeah, visual auditory. If I didn't know better, I'd say it was going for fear and rage, but describing it like that makes it sound sentient. Whatever it is, and by it, I mean whatever's floating around in the air down here. I'm guessing that's what did it. Anything you need to talk about? Cool, I'm glad I sent my violent loner soldier guy down to this murder planet. I don't need counseling, I've got a good head on my shoulders. Never even had nightmares. Da-da-da-da. Girl's bored or tired. Okay. I managed to scrounge up some supplies along the way. I'll make sure it all gets decontaminated. Okay, cool. Oh, so this is going to be an individual crew thing. Oh, good. Asen, are you receiving me? Is that a euphemism? Cute. Can you tell me what's going on down there without resorting to sarcasm? Me on a big planet, me all alone. Sky computer sad, me also sad too. Are you alright? No, I'm not alright. I'm half left. I'm half left or a third. Wait, what? Okay, she seems a bit more irritating than usual. Maybe something on the planet is affecting her thought patterns. I meant I'm not serious. Okay. Let's just get you back to the shuttle. What if I don't want to go? I'll leave you behind. Of course I would. My mission is to find you a new home. If you decide this is where you want, then who am I to argue? Cool. Alright, so she's kind of space drunk. Okay. Okay, Eric. Eric's camera seems fixed at first, and you worry they might have removed his helmet, but then you realize that there is in fact a subtle motion, a gentle rocking up and down, as if he were sitting against a wall and gently moving his body back and forth, out of boredom or anxiety. Is there a problem? Eric's vitals seem fine, although his heart rate is a bit elevated, and his breathing is a little quickened. You seemed like this before, you realize. The one time he came out cryo. Okay. Yes, what is Eric? What are his traits? Mechanic, tough, observant, and loner. Okay. I just don't know. Everything was normal, then you left and it wasn't. You gotta have to explain to me what you mean by normal, because everything... because things that haven't been what I call normal since we left Earth somewhere around 10 billion years ago, okay. Normal for most people is not exceeding the speed of light on a regular basis, so I'm gonna need you to help define normal. Okay. A little help. Okay. About 10 minutes after you left, things are a little hazy. I don't think the suit's filtering out whatever the red mist is. Suit sensors are detecting it, but it's having an effect. It makes it hard to think straight. Cool. Oh, good. You found some food. Alright. On to the next person. Uh-oh. Oh no! My sad, stealthy, loner, violent soldier died. I'd feel worse, but, like, I'm gonna be honest, he was a liability waiting to happen. You put him into a bad situation with, like, murder mist. Honest to God, it was a coin flip of whether he's gonna start becoming a predator. Something happened to him. There's unfortunately no way to know. Alright, Emery. Emery's camera is active, although askew, as if you're lying on her side on the ground. You need to repeat her name a few times to get her attention. I need you to wake up or whatever. I don't know if you're asleep or unconscious. I need you to know what's wrong so I can try and help. Eventually, through some combination of factors and sheer persistence, you manage to get her attention. She groans and pushes herself up onto her hands. Okay, what is Emery? Athlete. Hey, what does abstemious mean? I didn't look it up. I don't know that word. I've never seen that word before now. Even up to 6. Thanks for the lurk. Welcome. Abstemious. It's a good sounding word. I just have no idea what it means. Okay, let's try and not self-indulgent, especially when eating or drinking. Okay. So what? The opposite of me. Also probably me. Okay, so they're kind of like a minimalist food eater. Like that, or I guess, if we want to call it that. They approach food as a means to an end, as opposed to an indulgence. Okay. Sloppy push-up. It said rolls onto her back, push herself against the wall. Okay. So I was trying to get your attention, you say. You seem pretty out of it. Like you woke up on the wrong side of a fight. Feels like it hurt all over. My vitals look okay. Everything looks like it's where it should be. Your blood chemistry is a little off, though. Nothing too worrisome still. Nothing too worrisome. Just... Serum levels are just a little off. Which level? Is medical gibberish. You can say, we can fix it once you're in cryo. I do a complete top to bottom every time we jump to a new system. Okay. Okay, well, to be honest, I'm not exactly sure what's wrong. It looks like something in the air here got through the helmet filter and started getting into your bloodstream, which would have caused mental disturbances once it circulated to your brain. Well, I don't know. We need a full workup. The suit can only extract minute amounts of blood for testing. Great. Get to the point, okay. I can't identify the chemical or whatever in the air that caused it, but it looks like it didn't quite work as expected in your blood. Your whatever lows are a bit low, and the antigen effect seems to have diminished, probably because of whatever's in the air. Not completely though, it just looks odd. The numbers are off. I'm not sure why they would look a little like in the first place, since we don't know what we're dealing with here. Okay. I think whatever's in the air has a different effect based on hormone levels. It probably has a stronger effect in the presence of higher androgen levels, but the anti-androgens diminish the effect. I'm an AI, not a doctor. Alright. Cool. Emery gets back to the ships. Cool. Now for Osman. She's concerned enough, however, that she isn't able to locate any supplies. That part of the mission, at least. Okay, fine. Osman! What's Osman's beef? Oh, it's a minimalist in general. Abstinent, okay, alright. Osman, you received me. Yep. I am more of a croak, sounds parched and fatigued. Okay. What's the situation there? Along with him, the slowly pans around from side to side. All gone, wiped out, was all for nothing. Sorry. All this wasted effort. Okay, he's sad. Holds his hand in front of his face where you can see benefit. Not okay. I sowed the seeds with these hands, he says. All this work, all this was nothing. Okay. Okay. Osman's having a big old hallucination. Okay, cool. Let's just try and talk him down. Robots in the field, shiny harvesting non-stop. Cool. Oh, right. Is Osman our farmer dude? Yeah, okay. He's having some problems here. Burned red. Okay. It's not your fault. Those bastards. Okay, it's ruined it. That's why I left. Couldn't be fixed. Alright. Okay. Don't know what happened. Olfactory fatigue. Hooray! Oh, I got 10 fuel. And I lost a crew member. But he was a liability. Okay. I'm gonna save, because we're coming up on 11. And... we're gonna try a different game. That's... yeah, less mouths to feed. That is actually... you make a good point. Okay, so that was the away team. It's interesting. I don't think it's great for streaming, if I'm gonna be honest. One, god damn is it a lot to read. It does seem interesting. It is very much a choose your own adventure. I'd be curious to know how much like repeats there are where, you know, you replace the planet name, but it's basically the same like short story. It's an interesting concept. I don't really know on a ship with 6, now 5 people, what finding a new home would be good for. Because like, you can't repopulate a civilization with those few numbers, so you need more biodiversity. So I would hope that the ship also comes with that in it. I don't know. Anyways, God did it with less than half of that. And look at all the problems it caused. You're saying you're worse than God? Significantly. Or better. Really, that's a matter of perspective. But we are going to change gears into a spooky game coming up next.